I'm going to be talking about two things today. One is a Democrat primary election in a small town in Connecticut called Bridgeport. And evidence has emerged of ballot stuffing being done in favor of one candidate. So what has happened now is that the judge has ordered a new election, and the surveillance video, I'm going to show you that, shows ballot stuffing in drop boxes. The takeaway here is that this is not an isolated case. All those of you who keep saying that the Republicans talking about the election being stolen in 2020 is a myth, you have to think about it. This is not the only video that has emerged of one kind of ballot stuffing. There's also in 2022, in the midterm elections in Arizona, one saw not one, but many cards coming over and over and dropping off ballots. Then one can make the argument, well, these people were collecting from those people who were infirm, therefore they were driving in and doing it. Whatever be the case, after that there were hearings also where they said that one could detect that the ballots have been copied, because there is, every printer has a particular code. And with that code, you can say what is the printer serial number and what time that copy was done. And this is like a special code that you can't decode using normal stuff. You need to have special software to do it. But every printer will do that. And it was seen that the same printer had done a bunch of copies of a particular ballot. So this mail-in ballots thing has been largely exploited, especially in places where the identity requirements were lax. And again, in a mail-in ballot, who are you going to check for identity? You're just going to see if the address is there, and you're just going to keep adding. Whether the same address has been mentioned twice, again, you don't know. You can give the benefit of doubt saying, well, more than one person resides in this address. You get my idea, right? So this is probably the first time that it has been seen from end to end. And now the election has been reordered. The Democratic primaries will have to take place again. Hopefully this time everything will be done by the book and things will improve. The second thing I want to talk to you about will improve. The second thing I want to talk to you about, remember this visit of Samantha Power to Rajasthan, and then Rahul Gandhi goes there and met her. Now, there was also a statement that was linking Samantha Power, telling Sheikh Hasina that you better call elections by November 13th or else. Well, what has been happening in the last week or so is there have been a lot of riots in Bangladesh, especially the garment textile workers. What is happening is that they are demanding a wage increase. They are currently being paid 70 euros or approximately $75 a month. They want to triple them to about 190 euros, or we can say $200 a month. And they're saying that the house rent itself is around $95 a month. So the rates have to really keep up with the times. Everything has gone up. Inflation is taking a huge chunk out of their money and their salaries, and therefore they are out in the streets protesting. The interesting thing here about these protests is yesterday there was tear gas shells to break up the crowds, but what one saw was the crowds carried sticks, they carried stones. So if this is a spontaneous protest, how come they are having sticks and stones? And also, workers most of them are women. 90% I heard are women workers. But what we saw on the streets were men, especially, teenagers. So what gives, guys? Is there a connect between those two events? You do the math. You connect the dots. I'm not going to say anything. All I see is a very interesting trend. As if this is not enough, you have to also understand one more thing. I don't know how many of you followed this, but after COVID, the Tirupur mills, the cotton mills, the textile mills in Tamil Nadu were, requesting people from Bangladesh to come and work in their mills because situation had improved in Bangladesh, and therefore many people were not returning back post-COVID to their old jobs. And while they were doing that, the Bangladesh government also allowed some of these new mill owners in Bangladesh to be from India. So what happens is, if you can't get labor to where you are running your factory, you take your factory to the place where you can get labor. You get the point, right? So far, I've heard that close to 300 factories have been closed and 50 have been sacked or burnt down. Somebody needs to do some comparison to see whether the factories that are burnt down, who are the owners of those? Whether it is something to do with the fact that the owners are Indian. Again, this is something that I'm just asking the questions here. I'm not drawing any conclusions, but is there a method in this madness? Is there some targeting going on? These days with computers, sitting anywhere in the world, you can come up with these correlations and say, take this particular mill, burn it down, because that will cause the maximum impact, and so on and so forth. Most of the rioting is happening in an area called Mirpur near Dhaka. I've given you the links. You can take a look at it and you can read about it. This is just the beginning. It's going to get ugly because I don't think the mill owners are going to allow a tripling of wages. And the protesters say that these people are making close to $55 billion a year in profits. Bangladesh's overall per capita income has been going up. In fact, it has been growing faster than India and Pakistan. So one can say that, look, prosperity comes, wages also will go up, inflation also goes up. But what is the end result of all this? Is there a political motive? Is there a political end that a certain interested party wants to achieve with all this stuff? Only time can tell. Thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications. Namaskar.